Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. This week is a set review, and you know what that means. More expert analysis from the people who told you that Arc-Light Phoenix was unplayable.
People is plural, Corbin.
What are you saying?
I wasn't part of that. Don't put me on that.
Don't you put that evil on Jacob Van Lunen. I don't remember him saying it was unplayable.
All right, well, you might have heard there. This week we have Cat Light guessing. Welcome. Cat is a pretty prominent Magic player on the SCG series, a member of Team Lotus Box, and a member of the V-Click podcast. So Cat is here to tell us exactly how bad we are this week, trying to figure out standards. So welcome to the cast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Corbin would rather play Merfolk in Modern than Spirits. Tell him specifically how bad he is.
It's like some people just like to lose. That's fine. It's totally fine.
But the new set's going to cure all of that. We have a new 1-drop, haven't you heard?
I feel like you'll have infinite 1-drops and it still hasn't helped.
Ooh. Ooh.
Well,
You just got Kosi's trickstered.
they're going to ban everything until Merfolk is good, and then stop. That's the plan.
I have some crazy dreams too. That's
If they banned
okay.
everything until Merfolk was good, Spirits would be unbeatable.
correct.
Just for the record.
Because my things fly, and I don't have to go through steps to make things island. So my things have evasion; they just have it.
Yeah, her Curse Catcher actually works at countering spells.
Look, I look at humans and spirits, and I see decks that I would like if the sight of them didn't fill me with disgust.
Oh, you think it's bad? I like Slivers.
Hey, slivers are cool.
Not in
crushed
Modern.
slivers, and I about to say I crushed slivers in Baltimore, and that's supposed to be a bad matchup for spirits, and it just isn't. You're supposed to be a better tribe, and you're just not.
Yeah, Spirits is great. Slivers is more fun, but probably not.
Kind of
better.
like, I think Slivers is.
Corbin's like, I saw the shape of water and I was hooked, and then
The Shape of Water, or as Corbin likes to call it, Grinding Nemo.
I haven't seen this movie, so I
Wow.
don't know. What
I
I'm
haven't
missing
seen it
here.
either, but
Whew.
that's fantastic.
Whew. All right, big oof to start the show.
Got to start with a little yikes.
Yeah. Well, everybody, this week we have a different format for the set review. Stop me if you've heard that one before. But
this is the format where I enjoy it, right?
I don't know if you enjoy basically anything in life, but if you're going to enjoy a set review, this is it.
You got the wrong attitude, DJ. You complain about set reviews, I get drunk and go on rants, and those rants make the episodes popular forever, and your complaining makes you unpopular forever, so you should just get on the winning team here.
The drinking and ranting. I like the drinking and the ranting.
Yeah,
That's what it's
I mean, I've got a nice beer queued up tonight, but I don't know if that one's going to go over very well with DJ Jason.
Maybe as a Patreon goal.
Really? I don't know if that's, healthy. Right?
Patreon goal being to drink.
Well, DJ doesn't drink, and I don't even know if he ever has drank. So
He's like 80 pounds.
selling your morals for money? Whew. Wait, and it's
I mean, Jason Fieri
Is it?
that, so.
Wait, selling your morals for money, isn't that just content creation?
yeah, pretty much. It's no. It is successful content creation.
Yeah, there we go.
I was Guy Fieri for a month. I don't want to hear it about, ooh, I have to drink a beer. Ooh. Guy Fieri for a month.
Why were you Guy Fieri for a month?
It was a bet.
It was a Patreon
It was a
goal.
Patreon goal, and
Nice.
he did it.
Nice.
He did
It was a lofty Patreon goal that sadistic fans encouraged.
Yeah, and it kind of derailed our plans to have a second kid.
Yep, Jason they were ready to queue up another kid, and then nope.
She's like, I'm not going to Flavortown. Get away from me with that soul patch.
Wow. And you even did all that without launching into a Patreon pitch, Jason. That was impressive. It's because you want to talk about Ravnica Allegiance, I'm sure. All right, so
I was going to take a sip of beer and then launch on the Patreon.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually not going to get salty this set review because there's 3 cards in this set that I care about for EDH for once.
Okay.
Ooh.
Wow.
For Gonti?
I don't know for Thantis and Selenia.
Oh, I think I know what they are.
There are no Gonti cards in this set. Unless they come out of the pack HP, then I care.
Wait, do you like Captive Audience for Thantis?
I'm going to try it. I don't
What
think
is
it's good,
Captive
but it's
Audience?
funny.
Oh, it's a 7-drop enchantment, so you know it's an EDH card.
What's it do?
Oh, for sure.
You give it to somebody, and then they have to do something really bad.
Oh, I saw that card.
It's like a curse.
That card's cool.
Yeah, that card is... I don't think it's very good, but I'm going to try it just because it's funny.
Do y'all play like 1v1 EDH or multiplayer?
We all play multiplayer.
Okay,
Yes.
just so I have EDH decks too because I'm also a filthy casual.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was asking. I have Sirach and Atraxa.
What kind of Atraxa?
So you're hitting all the bases.
What kind of Atraxa?
It's four color control. It's basically Esper control, but with Sylvan Library and Exploration and Burgeoning.
Oh, interesting. Because that's like there's the 3 classes of Atraxa or whatever Jason talks about. I play a lot of Commander these days. My group just recently voted to allow silver bordered cards for a month.
Yes.
And then
that's
you bring
awesome.
a Nerf gun, and then you teach them why that was a bad idea.
We've set some ground rules of no dexterity cards, no cards that break the fourth wall, where you like high-five people or whatever.
That's the fourth wall.
That's a reasonable fourth wall.
That's how they describe it.
If you have to touch your opponent.
Well,
weird.
just it's a thing that's happening outside the confines of the game.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going with as some general guidelines, and then we'll vote on individual cards, but we'll see how it goes.
And then $800 and 400 cardboard carapaces later.
Well, see, you'd think this would be good for me, but I don't even have silver bordered cards to sell them. So I'm not even going to make any money on this. It's really, frankly, a disaster, because I'm too lazy to put any of them in my own decks.
How altruistic of you.
Yeah. I know.
This is a good set review. So far.
It is a good set review.
Well,
if you want to hear this and other set reviews, go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery.
Good.
For as little as $1 a month, which works out to 20 or 25 cents an episode, you can have access to the Discord channel where everyone's like, wow, DJ really hates set reviews. You got to cheer up, kid. And other things like that.
Yeah, Jason was only gone for a week.
Yeah, well, I promised, didn't I?
You did. Anyways, Kat, I'm sorry you had to listen to that. Everyone else listening, I don't know how you've made it this many episodes. So hearing that
the Patreon again.
week,
Don't think I won't.
Please don't.
No, the Patreon pitch is important. I do it for all the V-Click ones. Yep.
Do you have it down to a? Do you have a particular way you do it every week? Because Jason's got it down to a science.
Just in case that one person is still working out the math on a weeks to dollars,
he's there
to.
You have to do that.
All right. Well, let's.
Our Patreon quadrupled in the time since I've started doing the
Well,
math.
okay. Here's what I want to know. Hold up, Kat. I'm going to put you on the spot then. So for everyone listening, for one, I'm going to preface this with you should definitely go check out the V-Click podcast before you do anything else, of course. But now let's hear your Patreon pitch.
Oh, okay. So, if you really like the content we produce and really want to support us, go and find us at patreon.com/vclickpodcast, where you can join our awesome Discord server for a simple $3 a month. And if you just want to do a smaller donation, it's a simple $1 a month, and we'll continue to create our awesome content for you.
There you go, everybody. Go check it out. That was good. That was solid. All the pressure was on you.
Thank you.
Quality pitch under pressure, too.
Yeah, it's at this point, it's just like I know it better than the back of my hand.
I'm glad you can handle that. I can't. I just lock up. Somebody puts me on the spot, and I'm just like, I don't know how to answer anything. It's so weird.
Corbin's more of a teleprompter.
No, I have no problem being on camera or talking to camera or anything, but when I'm the one on the spot, it's just weird. I just
None of our listeners know how much effort is put into the podcast because we have to predetermine what Corbin's going to say and then teleprompter it for him through the entire cast.
Pages
Everything
of
he
handwritten
says,
notes.
It's truly pretty impressive that they can make it sound as spontaneous as they do.
And then you have some guest come on, and they just totally throw a wrench in it for you.
The guest is in on the conspiracy. You don't let them in on the secrets, though. I understand. All right, so
you did 7 hours of prep. It's called Corbin handling.
Imagine if any of us actually put that much work into the podcast, Jason.
Imagine if you skipped half the episodes and then we didn't have to do that much work most weeks.
I haven't skipped it. Look, it's been a month. I'm on a good roll here.
Yeah.
I even podcasted from Florida at Disney World. I podcasted.
Hey, that's
dedication.
Yeah.
Not only that, but he was like in the room with his father-in-law watching TV, like, oh Jesus.
Oh, it was so well.
My daughter could have married a real man, but no.
It was definitely a little awkward. At first, she heard everything. So when we got onto the call, Jason obviously started just cursing and saying something horribly inappropriate. And my father-in-law was like just listening, and I was like, okay, all right. But then later he only heard one half of the conversation because he heard me talking into a microphone, right? So I imagine it was all very awkward.
So 1/3 of the conversation.
No, but that was a stupid week that I got hosed by American and I talked way more than I wanted to. Because I had to tell that 12-minute story.
That's true.
Actually, I told that like 23-minute story that JJ somehow cut down to 12 minutes.
To 12 minutes. And it was still too long.
It was too long. But it was a bad experience. Anyways.
Can you tell we don't like doing set reviews on this podcast? We are just talking about any possible tangent to avoid getting into it.
No,
we don't like set reviews. They're hard, and then we have to say things that are going to be wrong later. So we're going to try something new this week, which is we're going to talk about the cards we want to talk about. And I've done something I've never really done before, which is go back and historically kind of look at some of the stuff from the last set. I plotted the prices of the 15 cards above $5 from the last set, Guilds of Ravnica. And I'm going to try to find cards that are worth talking about from Ravnica Allegiance that we think are corollaries to those cards, so we can kind of potentially plot the price trajectory. But that's all predicated on that being in a standard deck that does about as well, because really, standard is what's going to drive these prices right now. EDH doesn't really matter at this point when all the cards are new, so it's really, we're going to try to predict what standard's going to do, and that's why we have a person who is good at Magic on this podcast. Thank you for joining us, Kat. There's a lot of pressure on you because you're gonna have to tell us exactly what standard's gonna look like.
On the other hand, she only has to be smarter than us, and it's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, you just have to know, like, I don't think Arclight Phoenix is going to be 50 cents. That's all you have to say.
For the record, a certain professional Magic player who has been playing professional Magic for a while said Smuggler's Copter was garbage. So
someone said Smuggler's Copter is
garbage.
Who
are we blaming for that one?
We're not going to say his name. We're not going to say
no.
initials.
No, that person should be flamed.
Who was it?
Who said Smuggler's Copter is going to be garbage?
It was Shaheen.
Oh, it was Shaheen.
Well, he's a control player, so of course he didn't know.
Shaheen had no business evaluating that card. He didn't even know what the numbers on the bottom right meant.
Yeah, he doesn't understand combat. Like, this doesn't...
He's like, it's not even a Planeswalker. Screw that card.
Dude, I forgot about it. I'm so glad you brought that up.
No, because
I haven't reminded him about that.
You remember my tweet about Smuggler's Copter? I was like, how cheap Smuggler's Copter is.
I'm just tweeting right now.
I don't know how to evaluate Magic cards.
Just tweeting right now. So, was it actually Shaheen?
So then
it was, right?
Yeah, it was Shaheen.
He nailed something from that set, though, right?
Of course
there
he
was
did.
something from the set.
He got Torrential Gearhulk.
Oh, it was Torrential Gearhulk, yeah.
So the stuff that was in his wheelhouse, he nailed. So we're not going to hold anything against you that's not in your wheelhouse. So don't worry. There's no pressure on. We're not going to give you a hard time later if you mess something up, like we do Corbin and me and DJ. And Shaheen, apparently.
No, Shaheen always deserves it.
I can't believe someone said that card was bad. That card was nuts.
But like everybody thought it was, everyone's like, oh, Shaheen's dumb, but like that card was like $3 on pre-order, so everybody who plays Magic thought it was bad. So
are you confident enough in this story that I can tweet this? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
You could easily just check who was our guest on that episode.
Okay.
Like that would be 2 seconds of Googling, but
okay, I'm in.
That was like my first set release was Kaladesh. So I started playing in Eldritch Moon.
Uh-huh.
So, like, my first set was actually Kaladesh. Smuggler's Copter was, like, in one of my first standard decks.
So you've been playing Magic for, like, 45 minutes, and you're already better than all of us.
Well, I play a lot.
Oh, you're right. It was Shaheen.
I know. So I said I was confident.
That is so funny.
DJ has no journalistic training. I know confident means you would stake your professional reputation.
Well, I'm confident in being okay that if we're wrong about it, Corbin's tweet dies in a fire, which would be great either way.
That's true. All publicity is good publicity. That's the
key. Don't worry. I hope that's true because I'm tagging DJ as being the person who told me.
That's fine.
Nice. Gotta go down together.
Yeah. I'm I have complete deniability now. This was good. Solid tweeting. All right, so what we're gonna.
So now, while Corbin is tweeting irrelevant things, what are your broad strokes? What is your impression of this set and how it could potentially change the landscape of Standard?
So obviously the first thing is the lands. So our mana for Standard is going to be fantastic, and you basically can't be punished for going 3 colors, which is awesome. And some of the best Standards have been like that.
Oh, because they added the 5 more guild gates.
Yeah. Oh,
makes Esper possible.
Shocklands. The Shocklands, yes, but sure, the guild gates
Plaza
too.
Harmony is really going to shore that stuff up.
The set's also got a lot of what's what I want mechanics that work with the previous set. So we see like I think the Afterlife one is really interesting with just like our previous like green black set, because like we have finality. So now like before when you had to like find finality, now you get even extra value off of that with the like Afterlife, and you just like your sets are just way more aggressive with Rakdos and Gruul. So I think the set's like super aggressive, and everywhere where you want to be controlled just sucks. Blue white's trash.
Wow.
But besides that,
yeah, I think I remember it was either Rosewater or Fourths. I said this entire set and the Azorius in particular were designed around the power level of Teferi. So they knew Teferi's power level going into this set, and they made sure that the Azorius didn't get anything too crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, they basically would be like, oh, look, we have to try to like nuke Teferi.
Well, I mean, that was not a bad decision.
I hear people saying insane stuff like Wilderness Reclamation lets us play like...
Turbo Fog.
No, you have a Turbo
Fog
Fog with emergency powers. So emergency powers main phase to get your Nexus of Fate.
Oh, that's pretty good, man.
And you're like, cool.
That's pretty good play, man.
That's an EDH
I'm just
play.
going to kill you on turn 4 with Rakdos. It's fine. You can try to do that if you want. Turns out your fogs don't work for all of my burn spells. Like, Rakdos is just going to be nuts.
So do you think, besides the Rise of Merfolk, there's going to be any other new decks to pop up specifically as a result of some of the new cards?
First, I'm going to address your Rise of Merfolk there. No, Merfolk is still not playable in Standard. 2, I think that we'll see actually like a blue-green tempo deck.
But not a Merfolk.
Because of...
Come on.
Really? We haven't seen a blue-green Simic deck in Standard for years.
How insulting would it be if there was a blue-green tempo deck that was good and it wasn't Merfolk when Merfolk were Standard? That would just...
And it's full of sharks.
That is exactly...
It's going to play Jellyfish Hydra Beasts.
That is exactly what I've come to expect from Simic from Wizards over the years. Whatever would be the...
I like how every Simic creature has every creature type but Merfolk. Is that a Merfolk?
Yeah,
no, it's a crab, turtle, jellyfish, crocodile, lizard, elf.
Yeah, pretty much. But like the new Mystic Snake is nuts.
Yeah, that card's great. I'm
so excited to play that card.
I really like a lot of the Simic stuff.
Growth.
It has like a really cool under theme, and also like it has such good mana sinks in it that like if you're trying to go late game, like I think it actually goes late game better than like the old green black deck did.
Huh. Well, is green black going to still be like the Terror of Standard, or is it going to be, is this a new format?
That one's really hard for me personally to tell. Like our mana is so good that you could go like Soul Tie potentially, but I don't know if it's necessary. You definitely don't get punished. You almost get rewarded for trying to go 3 colors with the way the mana looks right now. But I'm not really sure. I know that there are people trying to do like an Aristocrats deck that's like Abzan colors. And using like finality and all that, but I think that might be more like the new version of green black will be like an Aristocrats with
that would
finality.
Be cool. Yeah, I've
seen people like Hadana's Climb and like a few of the new cards from this set are pretty good with your Branch Walker Jade Light curve.
I think that people should be buying Hadana's Climbs again. I think that card's insane.
Yeah.
Right now with the new set.
I sold out at 5.
I just listened to what Jadine tells me to play, and she told me she liked Hadana's Climb.
Yeah, Hadana's Climb is... That deck will be fun, though. Hadana's Climb is a cool card.
Oh, for sure. I went through all of my stuff thinking I owned them, so I didn't buy them, and I'm pretty sure I sold them.
Oh, rip. I'm sorry.
Which I was super sad about. But I think that card will be... I think Hadana's Climb will see like an uptick. Like we saw it before, like in the Sultai Snake decks. And I think now we have such like a big +1/+1 counter theme again that's almost forced. Like it's just Wizards just forcing it in Simic. It wasn't even.
I mean that's
how much it's
yeah.
forced.
You just with the Explorer creatures and Adapt and everything else. That's just all you're gonna have.
What do you think of Path of Discovery? Kind of what we're on that.
Is that every creature you control explores?
Explores on its battlefield, but like it doesn't really affect the board, and it's a 4-drop. So I don't know. I think your 4-drop spot's pretty crowded.
Yeah, I agree. I think like you could if you put like Llanowar Elves, you could have it come down on turn 3, but normally on turn 3, like you're wanting to like actually impact the board because in Standard, like you don't want to get into like those board stalls, and so I think it's just like a turn too slow. Like if it was like a 3-drop.
Sure.
I think it could come down on turn 2, so then you could start like Jade Light Rangering and Merfolk Branchwalkering like it. Well, like but like on your other creatures, like those effects that it'd be good. But I don't think it's going to be that good. I think it's just 1 mana too much. But it just kind of just depends on how fast Standard is.
Yeah, I mean, because there are still going to be control decks. You know, something else Afterlife does is leave behind blockers for people who want to stall the game out. So Esper is going to get its mana. Teferi is broken. I mean, I don't even know how you want to classify Turbo Fog, but that's another, non-aggro deck. So there is going to be a slower side of the format. But yeah, what I think is going to be interesting is whether we see, 5 new decks or 4 new decks pop up and sort of re-establish things, or if we see the top 5 decks from this previous metagame just kind of get upgraded. I think that's...
Well, I think every green-black deck could become Jund, Sultai.
Right. Well, that would be introducing a new deck, right? So that would actually be real cool.
Sort of like it's the old deck, but it's 3 new variants.
Also, is it really introducing a new deck? Because I think at that point, like if you're making it a variant just because the mana is better, I still think it's like the same style. Like it's still a green-black.
Well, that's
You're still just trying to like play like a rock deck where it just generates a bunch of value and kind of clogs up the board and is able to like recur threats and kind of like do that plan. It just like depends on like what your flavor of that plan
is.
Is.
Capital G, capital B, lowercase r.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You mentioned Frilled Mystic, the new Mystic Snake. That one is definitely an archetype pushing card.
Nuts. Yeah, I think
it's also double blue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to actually.
So good. Yeah. The mana is just so good that it's just not going to matter.
Do you think that Turbo Fog is going to be as broken as people say it is with the new untap all your lands and whatever else there is? Is that deck coming back?
I think people obviously loved that deck and they're going to try to make it happen. I think it'll be there because people want to make it happen and really loved playing it. I don't know how good it will actually be. Because like they already had Teferi, which untapped lands and like let them like do things and get to their Nexus of Fate. So I think I don't know if the enchantment does that much more for it, but I've definitely had people. So I'm doing this like MTG Arena early access event on Wednesday, and so I've had people send me like a bunch of different like Bant Fog decks. Like they look really cool. But they just don't. I just don't think they're gonna hold up, especially not week 1. Week 1, the best thing you can be doing is an aggro deck.
Yeah.
And so I just don't think they're going to hold up week 1. But I think that as the format develops, and you can kind of like tune the way you want to build that deck, that it could be a good option.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say it's not just going to be broken. That's
no, I don't.
It'd be so bad for Magic. I felt like it has really built up a lot of momentum over the past 3 months or 4 months, whatever you want to call it, between Standard being good, Ravnica being exciting, Arena being good, and I was like, there's no better way to kill that than to restart this.
Have a really
Nexus,
boring
to have a Turbo Fog deck be best and restart this Nexus of Fate argument up again. That would just be so damaging.
Basically it was red black versus Turbo Fog, and that's like all you saw in the format. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's all you saw, and then I'm gonna go read about something else. No, well, it's just people arguing about Nexus of Fate and whether it should exist as a buy box promo. Just like you just couldn't get away from it wherever you went. But yeah, hopefully we see a lot of new stuff pop up here.
I think week 1 we'll see a bunch of red-black and potentially Mardu, people trying to take advantage of like this underlying like Aristocrats theme and like resiliency to Wraths, because I think people are going to be playing like the double white, double black Wrath. I can't remember what
Kaya's
it's called.
something.
Like Kaya's
Wrath.
Kaya's
might actually be called that. I don't know.
I think you're right, actually.
It is.
It's literally called Kaya's
It makes
Wrath.
sense.
Okay, perfect. The new Wrath. And I think we'll see people really trying to use that because 4 mana Wraths are just busted. But you're just going to have like these counteractions of like the Afterlife mechanic, which I think that's really balanced, so that the Wrath was in the same Guild as the Afterlife mechanic. And then I think we'll also see things like people like playing Judith, which is basically like an anti-wrath, and just running a bunch of burn spells. Like, I just don't care about your wrath. I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah, absorb being the other thing that Esper would have access to. If they're able to go, I don't know, tap land on turn 1, something on turn 2, absorb into Kaya's Wrath. I mean, that's pretty tough for the aggro decks, but there's a lot of haste creatures and there's a lot of burn.
There's a ton of burn. And you also can do this cool Arclight Phoenix, Flame of Keld, because you just have so many burn spells. Where you could actually use Arclight Phoenix in a way that's with an Rakdos deck with Flame of Keld or something like that, or Theater of Horrors, sort of engine going there, which is probably what I want to end up playing, is something disgusting like that, where I just burn people in the face.
So what's your plan for the set? When will you get to take a standard deck to quote unquote a real tournament?
So SCG Indy is my next event, which is release weekend.
So perfect.
That'll be, release weekend. Standard opens are always tough because getting cards sucks. But other than that, it's always super, super fun. The hardest part is building a sideboard because you have no idea what to expect.
Right.
It's also always indie.
Do what?
Right? The release weekend, first SCG open of the year is always indie for release weekend.
Oh, Indy's a great city. I hear that they have parties there.
Yeah. No, it was Philly last year. Yeah, I was one of the first opens I played.
Oh my gosh, I just found my favorite card in the set. Twilight Panther.
I'm glad you're reading the cards for the first time, Corbin. That's super professional.
This is just a common. It's a 1-2 for 1.
This is the Coast employee, Corbin Haas.
I'm not an employee. Get out of here.
This is the Coast contractor.
There you go. Get it right.
What does Twilight Panther do?
Twilight Panther sounds like a code for a 45-year-old dude that hits on high
school
girls.
It's kind of got some. Well,
you're not wrong, though.
You kept it bottled up for. How far in are we? Hold up, let me look at my. 27 minutes, Jason. Good job.
I behaved.
Good job, man. I'm proud of you. No, Twilight Panther's got weird art, but it's a 1-mana 1/2. And you can pay for white, and you can pay black to give it Death Touch. It's my favorite Don't Attack Me card in Draft. And Sealed. I just love Death Touch creatures. Regardless.
Yeah, that's better than...
yeah.
I like when my 1-mana creatures don't have Death Touch innately.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, so what we want to do this episode, guys, is we want to talk about, like Jason said, the things that excite us, but not necessarily just the cards, right? Although some of them will be.
And the only people that get to hear are those that stuck around till this
That's
point.
Right. All right. So we've got some of the broad strokes out of the way. Kat, you're our guest. We'll let you go first so we don't steal anything. When you look at Ravnica Allegiance, do you most like, or are you most excited about, or at least want to rant about? Any of the above?
Oh, wow. Well, Mystic Snake.
Yep.
World Mystic is insane. I think that card will be... God, I love that card so much. I can't wait to play with it. I really hope it actually... I really think it will be good, but sometimes there's those cards where you predict, God, this card's busted, and then you literally can't find a way to play it, or it's just standard didn't shape it the way you wanted, and so it makes me so sad.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Knight of the Reliquary in Modern.
Yeah, Knight's coming back around a little bit. But yeah. Yeah, Frilled Mystic is sweet.
Step is legal. I don't understand. Why isn't it good?
Good point, Jason.
It needed Growth Spiral.
That's what it needed?
I don't... you live your truth.
Look, man, I tried Sajiri Step for a while in Modern,
Jason,
and you can't do
Jason,
it, man.
just sleeve up the 75. There is but one route to Valhalla.
I'll just play that Vengevine Bloodbraid Elf deck I was playing in Standard 5 years ago.
Longer ago than that.
5 years
Longer
ago, Jason?
than that? Oh, man.
Add 3.
I'm old.
That's my rule, man. Add 3.
Was it 8 years ago?
Probably. The other day...
Oh, man, I think it was 8 years ago.
I mean, Bloodbraid Elf was 2008, so add 10.
Kat, were you in elementary school when I was playing that deck?
In 2008, I was a sophomore in high school.
Super.
Hey. All right. Hey, now Jason's old. You, DJ, and I are all close-ish in age, at least. There we go.
What do you...
Like how I bridged the gap, I think, there. Yeah.
I mean, my age always lined up with the year for grade wise. So like in 8th grade I was 2008, 9th grade was 2009.
Cool.
I graduated like 12th grade in 2012, that kind of thing.
Same thing for me. In 9th grade was in 1999.
Jason is old. All right. Well, Kat, are there any other cards you're particularly excited about?
So I think Judith is really, really good because of she's like
which one is Judith? Let's make sure here.
Okay,
she's the Scourge Diva.
Yeah. The Scourge Diva, yeah.
So 3 mana.
She's 1 red and a black. She's a 2/2 that gives other creatures you control +1/+0, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, she deals 1 damage to any target.
So I think good.
Yeah, I think she's great because she's like Wrath Protection, and she also basically allows she can use like an Aristocrat shell. She can also just be super aggressive. Like other creatures you control get +1/+0. Like that, a lot of times it's just like swinging for lethal in a deck that's also running a bunch of burn.
Should I be worried about this card in Modern Humans?
Oh, and those black spirit tokens with flying after the stuff dies, you replay a second copy of Judith after they rat the board, and then all of a sudden you got a bunch of 2/1 flying spirits.
Yeah.
I think she's really good in Aristocrat Shell. I don't in Modern Humans maybe they do.
It's hard to say. They're more difficult colors of mana.
Yeah,
but it is
they
pretty
run
good against removal.
It's 5. Yeah, and it is 5-color humans. And I do like it better than Tajik.
Yeah.
As being like Wrath control, because you don't really have effects like Fumigate in Modern. Your Wraths just kill everything.
Right.
So the fact that it's going to ping off of that's pretty good. Versus Tajik just saying remove me first and then remove everything else.
I suppose though wouldn't
you rather just be playing Kessig Malcontents though at that point if you really wanted reach in humans?
Maybe. I guess it's also true that Anger of the Gods would exile the creatures and not cause a trigger.
Yes, that is
you just
correct.
need a second.
Yeah, that probably hurts it. Anyways, okay, good to know.
Why isn't Goblin Bombardment in this set? That's what
Wow.
Yes, I'm old. We've established that. I remember when Goblin Bombardment was new. Oh.
I'm not going to lie to you. What does that card do?
Oh my god. Jason, go ahead and explain, man. Read the cards from 4th edition. That when you played it.
Wasn't in 4th edition. It was
I have no idea when it's
3
from.
years after.
3 years. I just assume Jason has the original in front of him because he just holds on to old cards.
From Tempest.
Was it Tempest?
Yes.
Yeah. You sacrifice a creature to deal 1 damage to any target. It's pretty boss.
So it's a 2 mana red enchantment.
Oh.
It is actually pretty broken.
You just sack something?
Yeah, Sam Black had
It's legacy playable by
Sam Black had a big breakout. He called it Zombardment. It was just a zombie Gravecrawler type theme with zombie bombardment, and I think Legacy.
And Bitter Blossom.
Yeah, I think it was Legacy, right?
It was Legacy.
Yeah, it was a real.
He played Carrion.
It was Sam Black deck.
Hey, who
I love
gave
Sam Black
the deck
decks,
the
though.
name Zombardment? Does anybody remember?
I don't know, Jason.
It was me.
Was it? Are you sure?
No big deal. Yeah.
You sure?
No big deal.
Okay, man.
No big deal.
I believe you.
I suggested it and Sam Black retweeted it, so
Nice.
That counts,
Nice.
right?
For sure.
That was back when I had like 100 Twitter followers and that kind of thing mattered to me.
I was gonna say I name a lot of decks, and every time I ever bring it up, you give me shit.
Wow, black white mid range. You would have called it red black white mid range.
Can we talk about how Skewer the Critics is like one of the best cards in this set?
It's so good.
I think that card is so good.
Is this the Lightning
So
Bolt?
Yeah,
it's Lightning Bolt. It's Pauper
It's a
Lightning Bolt.
sorcerer.
It's Modern Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
It's every format that you need a Lightning Bolt in. Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I think for Mighty Modern, I'm going to be doing like 40 bolt deck or something, and this one is pretty awesome in that deck.
This is the you don't have to splash black for Bump in the Night.
Oh no, it means you get to play it in addition to Bump in the Night.
I love Bump in the Night so much.
No, this card is pretty cool. What is this going to do? I mean, is this just going to be Lightning Strike level of Ubiquitous and Standard Cat?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it's just going to make it so that these like already aggressive decks can just be even more aggressive and even more mana efficient. And like off of Experimental Frenzy, it's going to be nuts if you just already have a creature down.
When you have multiples of these, good God.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it makes people really nervous about letting creatures through in combat, so they probably block more aggressively and lose more of their creatures to trades.
That is all probably
It
true.
just really forces their hand. Yeah, I think the card's very good.
What about the...
Do you like Drill Bit?
What is Drill Bit?
It's the discard, similar discard spell.
Okay.
It's the 3 mana, but the spectacle cost is 1 black.
This is a bad name.
Pitch it on
This is the stupidest card.
Yeah, what's named after an Owen Wilson movie? What do you expect?
Wow. I think this card's definitely good in the sideboard, just like Duress has been, and it's even more versatile. I think the problem with it is one of the cards you're going to be trying to hit is like Settle the Wreckage, which you need to be hitting before combat. But I think it's just like good. It's like a really good sideboard card against control, which is going to be like a problem. Even though like this deck is super aggressive and can get under control pretty well, it's still going to be a problem if they like start landing that Wrath. So you being able to check on turn 3 for that Wrath is pretty relevant.
Yeah. That makes sense. Maybe not quite Thoughtseize or Inquisition, but definitely pretty good in the right situation.
Yeah.
All right.
We get any non-land too, so
I've got one here that I want to talk about. To hear what you guys think, because this is the most expensive card in the set. Angel of Grace, 5 mana, 5/4, white mana, flash flying. When it enters the battlefield, damage it would reduce your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. For 6 mana, you can exile it from your graveyard, and your life total becomes 10.
This card's ADH playable.
The words overhyped might have been thrown around. Kat, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I think this card is like fine because it's a 5 mana, 5/4 flash flyer.
Uh-huh.
So control gets a win condition on their instep. Great. Or on the instep. I think that its other ability is completely irrelevant and won't actually matter because if you're control and you're going to 1, you're going to die in your upkeep.
Whew.
So I just think it's good for being a flash win condition that's very mana efficient, so good for its mana cost, but I don't think that it's good outside.
Right. So I mean,
what about the non-red decks? Do you think that the non-red decks will struggle against this?
No. No.
You have they have like Conclave Tribunal, and against red decks you still have like Lava Coil and ways to get rid of it. It doesn't have lifelink, so it can't really save. Like, so if they start hitting with it, like they have to feel really confident that they've stabilized, or it's just going to be like a blocker that gets removed.
Yeah, like all that's going to happen is.
I think this would be insane with lifelink, though.
Well, right. Well, it would actually make more
sense.
sense. It would actually make more sense with lifelink than what it has now, because what happens is you play it on turn 5, and even if you get it to trade and put it in your graveyard, you're going to spend your turn to make your life total become 10. Like, you're just going to die anyways.
That reverse Sorin.
Right, or it stays in play, and you just die on the next combat anyways.
Yeah.
Oh,
or
I thought it gained you 10 life. That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's very good. Except for the fact that it's like a chromium slot where it's like this flash flyer.
I'm still playing it in my Selenia ADH deck because that entire deck is one big, like, worship reverse near-death experience combo, but that's...
All right.
That doesn't
so,
mean
Kat, do you think people
$18.
are actually playing this card, or is it maybe just a sideboard, or is it just not going to be very played?
So I think in control decks, especially week 1, we're going to see people trying to play it because they're so scared of aggro decks. But I think they're going to find that it's not very effective.
It's not very good against those aggro decks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, this is the most expensive card in the set, everybody. I think we all look at this for what it's worth and tend to agree. So Ship it. Probably not worth keeping it around.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what I did? I went to TCG Player and I sorted by best selling.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be surprised. We got Judith, Growth Chamber Guardian, Smothering Tithe, Electrodominance, Tithe Taker.
Interesting.
Like, we're not seeing the Angel anywhere in the top, so like,
well, it's expensive.
Yeah, somebody just kind of said, "Well, we think Angel, it's a big splashy mythic. Set it at $18. Run that up the flagpole and see who salutes." But people actually, in their buying, the number one card they're buying, you're not going to be surprised, is Persistent Petitioners.
Yeah. TCG Players.
Skewer the Critics is number 2.
TCG Players' best-selling list is such a revelation anytime you look at it, because it's just never what you would expect at all.
Bedevil's on the front page, Rhythm of the Wild, Wilderness Reclamation, and then the Shocklands. And then you get stuff like Incubation, Druid, and Absorb.
Oh, right,
I'm not seeing the Angel on the first 3 pages.
Because the amount of money required for persistent petitioners to equal one sold copy of Angels of Grace, it's like 70,000 petitioners equals one Angel of Grace on the balance scale.
Well, sure. Plus, somebody is going to buy 40 copies of it if they're.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you invest like $18 worth of Skewer the Critics, that's 18 copies of Skewer the Critics that go towards the algorithm, compared to one person putting $18.
Yeah.
But that's not true for Tithe Taker and Bedevil and.
Look, it's
like
just a metric, right? It's not not telling you what cards are most popular, but it is an interesting one. But here's another I want to talk about. I did not hear you mention there, and it's expensive anyways, and that is Hydroid Crassus. The jellyfish Hydra Beast itself.
I don't know how to feel about that.
I think this card's awful.
What?
All right, I'm going to read it.
Well,
just kidding.
Yeah, because it's half X. Right?
No, yeah. So when you cast a spell, you gain half X, and you draw half X. Round down. Has flying trample.
It's a cast trigger. The card's insane.
So for 6 mana,
countered, you still gain the life.
So for 6 mana, you get to draw 2 and gain 2.
And you also get a potentially flying trample 4/4.
For 6 in standard?
I have learned...
there's going to be some sort of like teamer ramp deck where this card's going to be very good.
Okay,
because you're just going to have to like turbo out all this ramp stuff, and then you get to refill.
I'll buy it in ramp.
I have learned not to doubt expensive X mythics, so I'm not going to doubt you, but at first glance I thought this card looked very bad, but it also kind of looks like a Sphinx's Revelation.
Well, so did Shamanic Revelation.
What is
just a bad?
Exactly.
It's just a bad. It's just a bad card that drew a bunch of cards and gained life. This isn't.
That card didn't gain life.
This is not like that card exactly, Jason. But I don't know. 6 mana to divinate, draw 2, and get a 4/4. That's close. I mean, it's
flying trampler.
Yeah, and it's really
flying.
So it's Dovin's Acuity on a block.
It's really good at 8 mana. It's definitely good at 8 mana, right?
I think at 6 mana it's still fine. You get a 4/4 flying trampler.
I also think there's merit. Like the first one helps you get to the second one, which helps you get to the third one, which helps you like they scale pretty well.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. If there is a ramp deck that supports it, it'll be good. But I mean, it stood out to me as being one of the more expensive cards. It's $9 market price. I mean, it's $11 coming out. It's not anywhere near the best selling list. Which again, that's one thing, and it's expensive. But
it's the 7th most expensive card in the set so far.
We did open the cast with you saying, like, you're going to try to do cool stuff, and I'm going to Rakdos you to death on turn 4.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But I do think there is going to be, like, it's not going to be, I don't think it'll be week 1, because, again, the super aggro decks punish all these people just trying to, like, do fun things in standard. Like, just don't try to do something fun on week 1. But I think as the format develops and, like, those super aggro decks get punished by control decks and mid-range decks and, like, that kind of thing, and they're more built for the aggro decks, you're going to see, like, these ramp decks come out that you just can't beat what they're trying to do.
Now that sounds fun.
So I think what you're saying is that this card is going to drop like a rock when the release happens, and then you're going to be able to pick copies up for cheap, and this is the kind of card that could be a 4 of immediately at any given notice.
Could be like a Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, like when you see these $20 for playset, you're like, oh, this is something that I could use in the next year and a half. $20 for a playset is better than $80 for a playset.
Right.
Can we talk about the price trajectory of some cards that it took people a minute to
figure out? Jason, explain to us what you found.
Arclight Phoenix was $8 when initially. We were kind of like, I think $8 is too much. It hit $2, and then it steadily rose to $35. Arclight Phoenix is the most expensive card in that set, and it was gettable at $2 for a while. So I think if this ends up getting figured out a little bit later, it's not going to be like, even if it's $8 out of the gate, it's not going to be $8 week 1. It'll be $2 week 1. But it has a potential ceiling of like $35-$40.
I mean, no, but maybe 20.
Arclight's a legacy in modern
If it's the most expensive card in the set, what's going to be the most expensive card in the set?
Well, I think the value.
Arclight's a legacy in modern.
Is it Spawn of Mayhem?
I'm just saying, I think the value wouldn't not be as spiky there, but
I'm just saying,
regardless, your point is well taken. It can be expensive.
I'm not saying it'll be 35%. I'm saying the most expensive card in the set has a potential ceiling of.
But it could easily be 10, right? Or 15 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there
So
were
I
too
wanna-
many other cards that tanked that hard and went all the way back up.
Let's not beat this horse to death. So I have a question I want to ask Kat.
Yes.
So I own approximately 300 to 400 restore balances.
Oh my god.
It's already up.
Why?
No one, because he's an
Because
idiot.
of
A
Electrodominant.
card got previewed recently. It's called Electrodynamics, and I want to know...
Electrodominance.
Yeah, so I do think Electrodominance is a busted Magic card. That if it, I think the card is so good. I think you want to like in Modern, like turn 1 Faithless Looting. Let me stick, the freaking Restoration Angel, Kiki Jiki in the yard. Oh, turn 2 Electrodominance, my living end. Like die.
Whew.
That's what I think.
That
Electrodominance is
sounded
busted.
fun.
So I can think Kazu. I can't take the credit for that idea. That was Kazu Negri, but I think that'll actually we'll see that happening in Standard, or not in Standard, in Modern.
I'm in.
There's just so many suspend spells.
Haven't they learned about free spells yet?
Never.
Like, never.
It's gonna be that card's gonna be gross.
Yeah, Restore Balance, Ancestral Visions, Hypergenesis, Living End.
Yeah, it's gonna
Not all
be...
that's modern legal, but
Yeah,
still.
so a lot of those...
So the problem,
tested-
the problem with what you just described, though, is that Living End is the best instance, right? There is a build of Living End that could play this card, but most builds of Living End cannot because they play 3 mana Cascade spells to hit the Living End, so they can't play those and this. So this goes into a different type of deck.
It would go into one that's more like a red-blue, like the As Foretold version of
right,
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, you go red, blue, and get As Foretold. Is it Charm? You get...
Right, yeah. It's that build of the deck. So, I don't know that it's inherently broken with all of these suspend spells, right? Because Restore Balance is probably the best one, because that plays
the
Ardent.
wheel goes in that deck too.
That plays
you can
Ardent
pitch your
Cascade
hand.
or whatever Ardent Plea, right? So this messes up that deck too. So you just have to have other ways.
It has to be one that is really looking to break or abuse Electrodominance. So
Right.
it can't be one that's looking for to try to do it with other Cascade spells because you just end up screwing yourself over because Electrodominance CMC.
Right. So you just have to keep in mind when you're thinking about the potential of the card, Jason, that it does have some limitations within the context of the decks that would play it.
Yeah. So I am trying to... What I'm saying is I'm trying to sell my Restore Balances into the hype, because I don't think that Electrodynamics makes a Restore Balance deck.
Electrodominance!
Get it right, man.
Electrodominos,
Electrodominos, that's a set review name. Man.
I think that if you see that card spike, that you should sell it.
It is spiking right now, DJ.
Yeah, it's up.
I know. I've got copies listed on TCG
It's up
already.
50% today.
There you
I
go.
can't believe you couldn't come up with the word dominance. Really?
Oh my god, Jason, no.
I called it. I called it in Discord. I called it in the Discord.
That Jason was going to make a joke about that?
Yep.
Well, there you go, Jason. You got.
Well, I got baited. Electrodynamics.
Well, I mean, you got one way or another. He got you.
Electrodynamics is a card in Slay the Spire, which is why I got it mixed up.
All right, let's. I want to talk about this. This is one of my favorite cards. $6.
Last of the Guild Pack. That's not very good, Corbin.
Bedevil. Black,
I think
red.
that card. I think that. Oh, sorry.
No.
Describing it.
Yeah, I mean it's black, red. Destroy artifact, creature, or planeswalker. It's Hero's Downfall plus you get an artifact now.
I think that card makes you really want to play Rekindling Phoenix.
Yeah, I imagine those work out pretty well together.
Well, just because if people are playing Bedevil in these Rakdos decks, my Rekindling Phoenix is going to be there forever.
Yep, that's right. Absolutely, because it takes their whole turn and it does nothing. Yep. Well, that's true.
And I have a feeling that people will potentially be cutting down their number of Lava Coils.
Yeah.
Because the card's just so much more versatile than Lava Coil, and that just makes it Rekindling Phoenix is going to look really good when people are trying to play 4 of
Well,
Bedevil.
I actually really like if that's the way it goes, and we have a card basically if the format pushes towards creatures instead of towards planeswalkers, that's a win to me because Magic has become so planeswalker centric over the past however many years, and I'm not like old man get off my lawning here. It's just this actually pushes towards, albeit a particular creature with Rekindling Phoenix, but it actually makes you want to play Phoenix over a comparable 4-mana Planeswalker, which is something that doesn't happen very much anymore.
Oh, yeah. Easily. And I think that...
Go ahead, Kat.
I was gonna say, speaking of planeswalkers, what do you think of these planeswalkers?
Oh, they're all terrible.
Like,
Oh no, Dominator's fine, but the other two are awful.
You don't like Kaya?
No. I think she's awful. I think that she doesn't protect herself. She doesn't do anything.
Somebody was trying to sell me on her in Modern.
Domri doesn't really protect himself either.
To me, he does in the sense that he lets you cast other things the turn you cast him.
He's also got a lot of loyalty.
I just think he should have cost 3 mana. Where is the symmetry here, Wizards?
Well, it's a red-green. You have Llanowar Elves. It's still coming down turn 3.
Well,
plus, he has 5 starting loyalty rather than 3.
Yeah. So he's
symmetry would be a 3 mana, 3 starting loyalty.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Good. He'd be less good.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. But he has this weird. He's like a Vivian effect that's even better.
Yeah.
Still sticks around with 2 loyalty.
Yeah.
Even though that's his minus, but then the plus puts him up to 6 when he's a 4 mana. So you're gonna still have a Karn effect there, where Karn doesn't really quote protect himself, like he can make a creature.
Yep.
But it doesn't. But it's just really hard to kill him. So it's the same thing there with just a bunch of generated value.
Well, and the thing is,
and so
go ahead. Sorry.
I just think that Domri is going to be really good in these Gruul decks, which are going to have huge trouble against control decks.
Right.
They're going to be all in on the I keep wanting to call it fires. The fires of Galvamaya.
Whatever
that
it's
one.
called, yeah.
Yeah. They're going to be super in on that card and really just emptying their entire hand, not really running a lot of burn, running a lot of creatures that are going to be lose to control pretty easily. He's just going to make them much more resilient.
Yeah, and the other thing too is on the minus, even if you get it off and it dies, I mean, I guess you kind of have to get lucky, right? But you get up to 2 cards. So in a worst case scenario, you fogged for a little and you've cast divination. Even better, whatever. As opposed to say Karn, right? Where if you play Karn and you get it's a plus ability. I mean, you're plus 1 card, but that card is mediocre. Yeah, well, that card has a high variance of how good it is. So in the situation where you're playing a 4-mana Planeswalker, even if you're behind, this one has a bigger effect. So yeah, I like this one too.
I still think that Vivian is better for her mana cost, but I think that this goes in the same deck as Vivian.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's probably. I mean, they seem good together.
Well, I mean, Vivian was played alongside Vraska, and this actually curves better than that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You had turn 3 Domri, turn 4 Vivian, you're just winning the game.
Yeah, no kidding.
You're just not losing anymore.
Do you think this could end up being the most expensive card in the set in the short term?
Could be.
No.
Okay, so let's read down the list right now. You got the Angel at about 18, Domri at about 17, Vannifar at 16, which I don't know if that impacts standard. It's real hype for EDH though. Spawn at about 1550, Dovin at 13, Kaya at 10, Crassus at 10, and then Haunt at 10. And then from there, everything's below 10. I don't see Electrodominos jumping up $20 to be the most expensive card in the format. So
well, the answer is going to be whichever of these cards see standard play out of the gate.
And modern play. If you see Arclight Phoenix went up because of modern.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
But that's also just it was fighting with it switched spots with Assassin's Trophy, which is also a card for other formats. Do you see any of these top 10 cards getting played in other formats?
Lavinia.
Or is it just going to be maybe Spawn of Mayhem or Angel of Grace is the best standard card?
So I think Spawn has the potential to be one of the best standard cards. Can you say them one more time?
Yeah, read through that list again,
okay.
Jason.
So
from the top,
Angel of Grace at 8. That's the one you didn't particularly like. Then there's Domri, is number 2.
Yeah.
Prime Speaker Vannifar, which is the birthing pod creature, which I don't know whether that impacts standard or not, but everyone's brewing bad EDH decks.
It's pretty hype in EDH.
Well, because it's not the deck's good, but it's kind of boring because everyone's just doing the same.
I agree with that. All right.
Intruder alarm pod chain.
All right, finish your list.
Number 4, Spawn of Mayhem. Number 5 is Dovin. Dovin's at 13. Number 6
I think Dovin's awful.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's more. It's worth more than Kaya out of the gate. It's $3 more than Kaya.
Who thinks Dovin's very good?
I think he's better than Kaya, but I think the card's not very good. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. I just have a coworker who thinks Dovin is insanely powerful, but
No.
I think he's like a sideboard card as like a 2/0.
I think he's bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Medium.
Well, the deck's already got Teferi and Karn.
Yeah, I just feel like Karn is just like Dovin's only good thing is you get like a spectral procession that doesn't even spectral protection because it probably just dies.
Right.
And like the ults, like we don't really have super combo heavy decks in standard. Like there's like Fog, like the Fog deck, but you just have so much other card advantage in that deck, and Dovin just doesn't do anything on his plus. Literally nothing.
Yeah, I agree that everything like this card just exists to try to get to an ultimate, and then the ultimate
And it only brings his loyalty up to 4, and he still just gets hit in the face.
Well, it's every creature you have creates a trigger, I believe. Yep, whenever a creature, so you can get more than one loyalty on it. Like you can ultimate it on turn 4 if you have,
enough creatures, but you're probably already winning the game.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, if you curved out perfectly.
Now I'm just envisioning our like Healer's Hawk, unblockable Merfolk 1/1 Merfolk, whatever it's called deck, are just like evasive 1-drops and Dovin deck, and it doesn't seem very good.
You want to play Healer's Hawk, not Benthic Biomancer
well, it's
on
just
turn
like,
1 and then pump him on turn 2?
I'm just saying I could like you could build a deck to make Dovin good, but then Dovin isn't good enough to do anything.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, what are you building? Like, you build your deck to make Dovin good, and your payoff is the ultimate, where you get to draw 3 more bad cards.
And then you don't, you get to draw a ton of Healer's Hawks, and then you don't draw Dovin, and you're like, well,
yeah,
my hand's empty on turn 3.
Your card just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's just a win more card. Like, if it's doing something for you, you're already winning the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 7 is Hydroid Crassus at about $10. Haunt of Hightower is number 8 at about 10. Electrodominance is $9, and then you get into Stomping Ground, Blood Crypt, then Skargan Hellkite.
I think that the Hellkite, that's the Glorybringer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that card's super good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Well, it's half the cost of Angel and Grace, Domri, and Vanifar, and Spawn.
I think that's nuts.
So you think it has upside at $8 as a mythic?
I mean,
and the fact that it's a mythic and it's like how many Glorybringers saw so much play?
Yep, and so did.
And it's a Glorybringer with an upside.
That. Yeah,
Thunderkite before that.
So I say I think it was. I think maybe it was a Craig Wesco review I was reading at some point when that card came out, the most recent one, and he was just like, "This card has seen play every time it's ever been printed. It hasn't been printed with these words on it before, but this card has seen play every single time."
It's a Glorybringer with an upside, and it's a mythic. It's going to be expensive.
And you don't have to dump cards out of your hand to have a play the turn after you play it. If you don't give it haste, you give it the 1/1 counter, then you know what your next turn is. It's probably, like burning a creature or something, hitting them, and then getting your 1 mana.
And then playing your
skewer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, like the card's very good.
Or just playing this off of, what's it called? Experimental Frenzy, and just punching them in the face.
Now,
I don't think those go in the same deck as Experimental Frenzy.
It's actually down a little bit recently. Like the price has gone down a bit. So you think that might be a little bit under, because that's down around in the same price as stuff like Biogenic Ooze that I think is a little goofy.
Yeah, I think that's really odd. I think it's a lot of people just don't want to play like the super aggressive, just smack you in the face decks that are always so good. And that card's very, very good. And is going to see a lot of standard play.
Well, if we look at the Planeswalkers from the last set, you had Ral that started out at like 4 and ended up around 8. But you had Vraska that started at like 30 and ended around 6. So we always say Planeswalker tax. Like, you had a chance to sell Vraska at 30, and you had a chance to sell Ral at, 10. But on the same token, Domri could be good, but, the other two...
They're awful.
I think they probably end up switching spots with something like maybe Biogenic Ooze, or Seraph of the Scales, or Hellkite.
I agree with that.
All right, I have one last rare I want to talk about, because it is my pick for... I mean, it's certainly my favorite card in the set. And I think it could be undervalued. Maybe not yet. I know I want foils of it.
Well, let's look at what it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, Smothering Tide is what we're talking about. It's $2. It's a 4-mana white enchantment. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If they do not, you create a treasure token. One of those brand new Brainstorm Brewery treasure tokens we shipped out. But this is the anti-risk.
That'll be fun.
Oh, Corbin said sipped out. Time to shame him forever. Woo!
Wow, DJ.
What?
This is what DJ hopes for because he can't say words the right way, so he gets made fun of for it.
Mr. Revised Power.
He called it Ravnica, I believe, and
Ravnica.
Scourge. Yeah.
No, I said Scourge.
Nice.
I said Scourge.
All right, man. Anyway, so DJ's just looking for an opportunity to drag someone down with him. That's all that was.
Hey, Electrodominion's going to see play, all right?
But Smothering Tide is hype. It is the anti-Rhystic Study in that...
Did you pay 1? Did you pay 2?
Well, yeah, so if they don't pay for you drawing, then you get to pay for their next Rhystic Study trigger. But more importantly than that, you just play the card, probably on turn 3 off of a Signet or whatever, and then you just, by the time you untap, you've probably gone from 4 mana to like 7 mana or 8 mana.
It's not even when they draw an extra card. It's when they draw their card for the turn.
This card is insane.
It's so dumb.
And it costs $2 right now. It's probably going to go a little lower, and I'm all over this card because I think this is... I could be wrong, but I feel like this is Rhystic Study in the sense that it's going to get played in almost every deck that can play it. Now, like, I'm sure that's not true. You're going to want to have an enchantment thing, blah, 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 but honestly, it feels like it could go in any deck. Of course, it
kind of feels like Rhystic Study. I agree that it goes in literally every deck.
I mean,
plays white.
it will probably end up...
There's no foil price for this yet.
Not yet.
I've seen.
It'll probably end up in... it'll probably end up in a commander deck at some point, right? Like, so reprint risk is a thing, which makes me think the foils are probably a better play. That said, there are literally no foils listed, so we will come back around on that one.
Rosewater said that the treasure tokens are going to be deciduous now, so like that doesn't help mitigate the reprint risk.
I'm trying to think, what is the most recent card that was a reprint in C18? Like, what is the earliest they went back? Or what is the least far they went back? Yeah, like what is the most recent reprint from a C18 deck that was like an actual real card, like a rare? Because most of the time they wait and they go like at least 3 or 4 years back. They don't just smash cards immediately. With commander decks.
Let me look. I'm looking through.
That's something that we'd have to figure out. But like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I'm trying to think of C17 and C18, and they didn't really put any notable reprints from like Amonkhet or Ixalan or unless I'm just completely missing one. But I really think they just wait and they go 4 or 5 years back. So I don't think this would get a commander reprint in any sort of time frame where you would want to be worried about picking them up. So I think you're safe on non-foils because non-foils will also be much easier to get rid of and they'll be much easier to acquire. So.
Death Reap Ritual maybe is the most recent.
Yeah, so that was
I typed in Commander 2018 reprints, and the first thing that came up was an article by some dipshit called "The Best Reprints of Commander 2018." It's Corbin's article. That's why.
I was like, that was aggressive.
So yeah, I
talk
don't
about
think...
5 cards and call it an article. Really, that's what we're doing.
Anyway, I don't think that this gets a commander deck reprint, so I would prefer to go in on non-foils when it gets cheap, just because I think your turnaround on those will be more efficient and easier.
Well, I plan on playing Smothering Tide in some stupid arena deck with that Rags to Riches card that says, like, if you have 10 treasures, you win the game.
Oh, Revel in Riches? Absolutely.
Revel in Riches, yeah. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to play, like, Pirates,
Mechanized
Pillage, a bunch of
Production,
stupid 4-drops.
Hellkite Tyrant, there's all kind of ways.
I actually forgot that Revel in Riches was standard legal.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Because, I don't know, I guess I'm associating... I always think of either Revolt with the Tezzeret token. That wasn't Treasure, was it?
No, that was
Ethereum Cell.
Ethereum Cell. Yeah. And they've also done gold tokens before that are just treasure tokens.
Gold tokens don't tap, so they're more abusable.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
But Treasure, they were smart, and they were like, oh, we're going to have Improvise in a set and Treasure, so you have to tap it.
Right.
It was dumb.
Anyway, Smothering Tide is hype. That sounds fun in Standard.
You know what I think
seems terrible in Standard, but I'm excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
I like Growth Spiral an awful lot.
Yeah,
I
Growth
think that
Spiral is sweet.
I call Growth Spiral the number one Simic card in my Simic set review.
I mean,
I
That felt
probably.
balls into me, but like Growth Spiral is just going to be an EDH staple.
I think
love it.
Mystic Snake is so much better, but sure.
I like it. I like it a lot, but like,
How does it
you
feel to
already
be
got
arguing
easier
over?
to cast Mystic Snake in EDH, but Frilled Mystic and being standard legal is.
I say, how does it feel to be arguing over good Simic cards? Did you ever think that they
That
would come,
is-
Jason?
Woo!
Well, there might not be a Simic deck in standard. There might or there might not, but like we got so many goodies for EDH.
Yeah.
Biomancer's Familiar, Simic Ascendancy, Gyre Engineer, and
And the Broken Merfolk to
Incubation Druid.
take over Modern.
Yeah, I think
Incubation Druid's nuts. I think because like there are easy ways. Like Hadana's Climb and Llanowar Reborn, there are a lot of easy ways to put a counter on Incubation Druid. I didn't like it at first. I kind of like Gyre Sage more because Gyre Sage can tap for like 25 mana in EDH, but Incubation Druid can go infinite with Freed from the Rail, so it's hard to know which I like better. I just like Gyre Sage because like you put counters on it by curving out, which is what you're trying to do, versus Incubation Druid, you gotta like play cards to put counters on creatures. But I don't know. I kind of think there are enough ways to just latently put counters on creatures that Druid could be pretty nuts. Tapping for 3 is pretty busted.
Yeah. For sure. All right. So I have one final card I wanted to touch on, and this is just a gimme. But Persistent Petitioners, everybody. The 1/3 for 2, 1 mana. Target player mills the top card of their library. You can tap 4 untapped advisors to make them mill 12.
No,
And
you
you
can
can play-
you tap 4 untapped advisors to make anybody mill 12.
Sure.
Which
Target
is why
player.
you should build a Muldrotha deck with this card, and then 30 petitioners, and then you use them to mill yourself, and then you play Blood Bond March, and then you cast one, and then you bring the rest of them back, and then you use them to mill yourself, and then you cast one from the graveyard with Muldrotha, bring the rest, like sack them to Phyrexian Altar, and then you kill everybody.
That
Guys.
sounded really stupid.
Azor's Elecutors, Agent of Masks, Brago's Representative, Cartel Aristocrat,
Every Tesa.
Council of Every Tesa, Cunning Advisor, Gaddock Teague, Generous Patron, and Grand Arbiter Augustin are all advisors. And Camball Consul and Karlov of the Ghost Council. What?
And-
There you go.
and every
That's pretty
change
good. Well, and more than that, though, this is just Relentless Rats, Rat Colony 2.0, 3.0 at this point, right?
So
Like, this card's just going to be worth money.
Yeah. Find the article I wrote about Rat Colony, and every card I told you in there that isn't black, I told you to buy. Like, if you don't have your Throwing Stones already, you're an idiot. Like, at this point, like, how many times have I told you to buy Throwing Stone?
That card is so weird because it desperately needs a reprint, but it's so hard to reprint it.
Yeah, it's a really stupid
They
ability.
don't really want to reprint anything from Cold Snap, and I like it's not on the reserve list. Just do it.
Look, all I'm saying with Persistent Petitioners is that it's actually over $1 right now, but this is going to be left in every draft table, and this is going to be worth $1.
It's a 15th pick card and limited. It's just going to be
Just snap them all up, save them from the trash can, and buy list them to Card Kingdom for 50 cents 6 months.
just like we said to do with Rat Colony, which is already coming to fruition. It's almost like we knew.
Is it fruition or fruition?
Fruition. That's
Okay.
what I said.
No, it's okay. I'm just...
Oh my gosh.
I said fruition.
All right,
Don't
so
gaslight me on my own podcast, sir. You guessed.
is there anything else you guys want to touch on from the set? What else stands out?
Yeah, man. The Lizrog. I really like the Lizrog in decks with like doubling season and stuff like that. Moving counters around is a lot of fun to me. But I think Captive Audience is a card I want to play in my Xantia deck. I really like the idea of making somebody exhaust all the options and then giving it to a different player.
I really wish the last option was you lose the game. It's a 7-mana enchantment. I don't think that'd be game breaking.
Yeah, probably not.
I agree.
Especially if it took 4 turns to
I think that the best card in the set is Theater of Horrors
For standard?
for standard.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about EDH now. But for standard,
yeah,
my
this
final
just-
comment is I think the best card in the set is Theater of
This
Horrors.
just draws you an extra card every turn.
and you can play any card that's been exiled. It's not played until end of turn. As long as Theater of Horrors is in play and that person lost, like your opponent lost life, like you can play any card that's been exiled with it for the entire game.
And you can play lands.
Yeah, I think that card is actually busted and is going to make Rakdos one of the best decks in Standard.
It's a Phyrexian arena where they take the damage instead of you.
Yep. It's like, I think that card's so good.
So how much is this card worth right now?
Oh my god, Theater of Horrors?
It's only $2?
Yeah, $2, and it's actually down over the past week.
I think the card's insane.
But it is only good in one deck, so I don't think it jumps super high, but it is kind of like a get your playset if you want them thing.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like a card where you buy a bunch of them and then sell them for 7 or 8, but it is a solid role-playing card in Standard. Kind of like Chain Whirler was never above like 4.
Yeah, because I kind of think Dawn of Hope is nuts, and that's 75 cents.
That card is nuts, but they just haven't found the right shelf for that card, because that card is just like, land it, generate value for the rest of the game.
The right shelf for Dawn of Hope is I can't beat that card in Limited and never have.
Oh, that card in Limited is so great. But that's my last comment was Theater of Horrors. I can't wait to play 4 of that card in Indianapolis.
Well, I actually bought copies of a Precon because that was the only way I knew how to get copies of Mystic Snake back in the day. I bought a $12 Precon because it came with Mystic Snake and Yavimaya Embrace, I think, is the other rare, and it came with like a washout in there. So that's how I got all the washouts for the Standard deck I needed. So like Frilled Mystic, like I think that was Gavin Verhey's like come to Jesus card too, when he got beat by that at F&M when he first started. Like Mystic Snake for a lot of people just like, oh, this is what I want to be doing in Magic. So the fact that it's back as a 3/2 just makes me super happy.
Yeah, Jerry T just put out an article today on SCG that was all about how he was like, this is where I started with Magic, was Mystic Snake. So I think that card's really, really good. I still think Theater of Horrors is better from like in Standard from my perspective. But I think Mystic Snake's up there also.
This set sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. DJ, I know you wanted to touch on something specific, right? Did we get to that?
I'll shift focus a little bit because there are 2 cards I wanted to talk about. I have had a surprisingly high number of people talk to me about my Fantas list and say that they wanted to build it because they too are sick of their EDH groups dirtling around trying to prevent attacks and just put up pillow forts and just be like, I'm going to roll a die to decide who to attack. No. This Fantas deck is designed to have sub 30-minute games, have people engaged in active combat steps, and just kill each other gladiator style. It's fantastic. I love it. And there's 2 cards in this set that work perfectly for that strategy. So the first is, I believe it's called Rampage of the Clans. It's like the beast within everything. You just get rid of all artifacts, enchantments, give everybody a bunch of meat horses, and just make everything attack all the time.
Which is great if you're playing Smothering Tithe and you have like 20 artifacts that you could just make into centaurs.
Yeah. I don't care if I don't get many centaurs. I just want to blow up everybody's soul rings, everybody's sphere of safeties, and just have everybody be attacked by monsters. And then the what's the black card's name? I just had it on the top of my head. Scroll past it.
Scrolling. DJ's lost, he's scrolling. This was on a podcast. Take notes.
Well, Jason, it didn't really develop, huh?
Well, DJ's lost. My pick of the week, if you are a patron who goes to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery,
I know what the card
gives us
does.
$10 a week, you can have access to our spreadsheet where we put our
It's not
picks
$10
of
a week, it's $10 a month.
Man, whatever. $10 a pay cycle. Give us $10 a week and you can come on the podcast. That's even better. Give us $10 a pay cycle and you can have access to the spreadsheet where we put our picks of the week and our breaking bulk the second we announce them on the podcast, which means you get them days early before the podcast comes out. You can have access to that information before anybody else, and you can make MTG Finance decisions very early based on that. And also, we didn't announce our picks of the week and our breaking bulk on this podcast, but if you're a patron at that level or above, you will know that we did make some selections this week, and my selection this week for pick of the week was predicated on a card called Font of Agonies, which when you pay life, you put counters on it, and then you can remove counters to destroy creatures. I think that there is an older card that is very easy to pay life and put 4 counters on it a turn and start destroying their creatures. So if you are not a patron at that level, I think the spreadsheet is very worth it. And what else do you get at $10, DJ? Do you get the tokens and you get spreadsheet access and you get
access to the Discord access and the episode a day early.
So, hey, if you're at $5 and you're considering, hey, should I make the jump? I don't know. I think having our picks of the week and breaking bulk as many as 3 days early is good if you're going to make financial decisions based on that information.
It's also not just early. Like, during the episodes where we don't do pick of the week, breaking bulk like this one, they will get them for that week.
And nobody else who has access below that even knows what I'm talking about right now because they don't have access to the spreadsheet. So... DJ, did you find your card while I did the second Patreon pitch?
Yeah, because Mythic Spoiler sorts by, like, guild and then rarity and then guild and then rarity. So, anyway, Awaken the Erstile is a 5-mana black sorcery that everybody wants to do weird stuff with Waste Gnaw and all that stuff. But I just want to make everybody discard their Supreme Verdicts, their Cyclonic Rifts, their Fogs, their Rakdos Charms, whatever, and then give everybody a bunch of zombies, slap my big spider down, and just have everybody attack with each other. I play stuff like Bitter Feud in that deck. I play stuff like Curse of Predation. I play a lot of just very aggressively minded cards that encourage people to swing at each other. Rite of the Raging Storm is hilarious. Assault Suit on Thantis is fantastic.
Assault Suit is one of the most fun cards ever printed.
Yes. So for those who are enticed by big swingy combat step EDH games and are sick of people just ramping to Torment of Hailfire to kill everybody, try Thantis. It is a Jund deck and it is a lot of fun.
This set has made me so hype about Crafty Cut Purse because not only does Awaken the Erstwhile make everybody pitch their hand and then give you all the tokens with Crafty Cut Purse, Crafty Cut Purse is also good with what is that, the Rampage of the Clans, which you destroy all their artifacts and then you get all the tokens. But also stuff like Pongify and basically like against a Brutaclad deck. Like Crafty Cut Purse is one of the sneakiest EDH cards nobody's playing. It's like a bulk rare.
It takes all their treasures that they'd be getting from the new white card.
Yeah, it takes their Smothering Tithe treasures too. So like, hey, consider Crafty Cut Purse because not only does it like nerf a ton of like token strategies, it also makes cards like Pongify completely one-sided. So that's something to think about. I'm not saying that's my pick of the week. I'm just saying I wish more people played that card in EDH. And hey, am I in a position to let people know that's a good card? I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I'll make every writer on EDH Rec write about that card this week. You don't know.
All right, there you go. Okay, well, Kat, anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here this week?
Nope, that's all I got.
Well, awesome. Thank you again for coming on. Tell people, let them know where they can find you, where they can follow you on Twitter, all of that good stuff. Anywhere you want to plug right now, go ahead.
Well, I'm on Twitter at HellCatMTG, HELLKATMTG. I also stream on Twitch a couple times a week at twitch.tv/HellCatMTG. I'm on a podcast, VClick Podcast. I'm actually should be on this week's episode coming up, which you can find us on Twitter at VClick Podcast. And I'm part of Team Lotus Box. You should also follow us on Twitter, and it's at Team Lotus Box on Twitter. So those are all the places that you can find me.
There you go, Kat. Thank you again for coming on. Everyone else, thank you for listening. This is Brainstorm Brewery, and we will see you all next week.